Well, it's certainly an interesting time to work in the field of public affairs, isn't it? I'm going to talk today about three trends we see happening in the field of public affairs and provide some very brief insights of what various organizations are doing to deal with these types of new trends. The first is the growth of the outside game of politics. This is nothing terribly new. Over the last 20 or 30 years, we've seen a rise in grassroots political activism in all areas of our economy. What's different now is digital communication. There's so many tools available to find friends and allies to help champion your cause. What we call the inside game of politics, direct lobbying, will always be with us. That's especially true in areas that are complex public policy matters, or certainly at the state and local level. But at the national level, while lobbying matters, the larger outside game also matters a great deal. The second major trend that I see happening is the focus on crisis response and recovery. Now, in a lot of associations and big companies, crisis communications is the job of the corporate communications department. But increasingly, people who work in government relations have to be prepared to respond very quickly to bad stuff that happens in the public policy realm. It could be an activist organization suddenly causing a stir over an issue, holding a press conference. It could be the president tweeting out a criticism of your company or your industry. But you can't spend 3 or 4 days having meetings deciding what your response is going to be. So much like a political campaign or in a PR crisis, you've got to have your strategies in place and be ready to really respond effectively. And you have to have a recovery strategy so that once you've made it through the crisis, you know how quickly to get re-engaged in certain areas that may cause controversy in the future. The third major trend we see happening in the profession of public affairs is an unbelievable amount of political opportunity and political risk. You've got a Republican White House, Republican Congress, a lot of pent-up demand to deal with burdensome business regulations and make real changes in the country and how the economy works to try to jumpstart things. And so I'd imagine there's a lot of CEOs out there who expect their public affairs departments to be incredibly successful because finally now we have a Congress and a White House who are going to listen to what we have to say. So that might be true, but if you look at the kinds of issues that are on the table, from healthcare to tax reform, immigration, foreign policy, and a host of other issues. You know, when there's a public policy debate, for every winner, there's at least 3 or 4 losers. And most public policy arguments are not between big business and the consumer, they're between different segments of the economy. When you work in this field, you see this every day, and you know you shouldn't count on great results even if you have a favorable group of public policy makers. So there is opportunity, but there's also tremendous risk. What adds to that risk is the nature of public policy. It's the world of unintended consequences. Very often, people go at dealing with a public policy matter with one set of goals in mind, and what finally results is something very, very different.